Hey Film with Dad family, how are you guys doing? I hope you're doing well. In this video, we're going to be talking about 5 rules of composition for when you're shooting videos. The first rule I want to talk about is framing. One of the most simple things that you can do inside of composition for a video is be able to frame your subject within the scene. So if you look at this shot, I am framing myself within the doorway. And by framing myself in the doorway, it brings the attention of the viewer's eye straight into where I am. Let's look at framing done a little bit more creatively in this shot here. In this shot, I actually put a GoPro inside of a container of oatmeal. So it actually frames it with the rim of the container, and it actually brings the viewer's attention directly to my face, which is where I want the viewers to look at in this instant. So now let's take a look at the second rule of composition I'd like to discuss, and that rule of composition is guiding lines. If you look at this scene here, I have elements in my scene that are actually creating lines directly to me. So that way your focus is towards me. Look at my computer here. It's creating a line towards me. This line right here in this computer. The sign, the picture frame, this picture frame. It's all creating different guiding lines to be able to bring more attention to where I want the audience to actually be looking at. Now let's take a look at this shot here. In this shot, we have Penelope on the stairway, and we have lines going through the stairs and the railing and the doorway and the windows, where they're all pointing towards Penelope. And this actually brings, again, the attention to where I want the audience to look at, and in this case, it's Penelope. So now let's take a look at the rule of thirds. In this shot, you can see that I've used the rule of thirds to compose the shot. So I am on 1/3 and Penelope is on 1/3. You can also split the shot vertically by thirds, and you can see that my eye line is on the upper third and Penelope's eye line is on the lower third. Okay, so here's another example of using the rule of thirds. Here I'm placing Penelope on the right third, and I'm putting her eye line on the upper third of the composition. So again, bringing the attention to one of those focal points that is created by the rule of thirds. So let's move on to the next rule of composition that I want to talk about, which is contrast. Contrast can come in many forms. So we can think of contrast with the contrast of color. We can also talk about contrast in size and also contrast of shape. So in this shot, if you look at it, overall there's not much color going on except for this really bright, vibrant color of pink from the boots. And that immediately draws your eye to that part of the image because it's so different from everything else that's in the shot. So now looking at this shot here with Penelope in the backpack carrier and me carrying the backpack, we have a contrast of size. So you can see a very small Penelope in the background and a very large me in the foreground. So that lets you kind of ping pong back and forth between this size contrast, and you know that the main focus is going to be those two elements that contrast between each other. So now we're going to talk about the last rule that I want to talk about today, and that is the point of view. What is the point of view of your shot? Is it going to be looking from down up, or are you going to be looking directly at eye level, or are you going to be looking from the top down? Each one of these shot choices will actually tell a different story within your composition. When I'm shooting Penelope, a lot of the times you'll see in my videos that I actually want to shoot at her eye level. I want to tell the story from her perspective, and show her eye line will actually help us tell that story within the composition. Now if we change the composition to a different point of view like we have here, where we're looking at Penelope from a lower position up at her, we actually get a interesting effect where we put her in a position of power. Now if we look at the opposite in this shot, we make her feel small and meek because we're actually looking down at her. And with this composition change, you'll see that we're not telling it from her story, we're telling it from a perspective of an adult. So those are the 5 basic rules that I wanted to talk to you guys about for composition. There are a ton of more rules out there that you can use to enhance your videography. Uh, Comment down below. Are there other rules that you like to use within your composition when you're trying to tell a story for your audience through video? This is the end of the video. Please like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you guys next time.